What is up? This is your LA in a minute. And before there was Google Maps, Waze, or even MapQuest, there was this, the Thomas Guide, a 500-page behemoth of spiral-bound paper maps that help people navigate Los Angeles before the internet. In a special episode brought to you by Culver City Toyota, I want to talk about this holy grail of directions that got people from one side of Los Angeles to the other. I'm talking about the Thomas Guide. Let's get into it. So for the uninitiated, what exactly was the Thomas Guide and why was it so indispensable? Well, it's an atlas or an extremely detailed set of maps, most important in Los Angeles due to our vast geography and the numerous streets, roads, and freeways. It had an index of all those roads and streets, and you would find the corresponding map and you would follow the map into the direction indicated on the side of the page through any of the quadrants and just go to that next map to continue following your directions. But it all started with George Coupland Thomas, who was born in 1884 in Kent, England, and soon immigrated to California along with his family. It was with his two brothers in 1915 out of a tiny office in Oakland that he began making wall maps. The wall maps had exquisite detail and were highly accurate, as the Thomas brothers would often do the research by hand and by sight. And they became wildly popular, and the company soon expanded into block, community, and tourist maps. In 1940, the company moved to an office on Spring Street in downtown Los Angeles, and they began making the now popular fold-up maps, which were the perfect size to fit in a man's suit pocket. And in 1945, they started the book format that we still recognize today, sized to fit inside of a car's glove compartment. As freeways and car culture began to dominate the landscape, especially in Southern California, the fold-up maps became a thing of the past, and the Thomas Guide became a must-own for anybody who had a car. Unfortunately, in 1955, George Coupland Thomas passed away with no heirs, and he left the company to his widow, who sold the company to their attorney, Warren Wilson. Wilson would lead the company for 40 years, dominating the map market on the West Coast and growing the company to more than 200 employees. Simply put, the Thomas Brothers guides could be found in nearly every car, sometimes in the glove box, other times on the passenger seat. By 1982, they dropped the brothers, at least for marketing, and simply became the Thomas Guide. And as technology evolved, so did the company. They made a computer database of their maps with a system for cartographers to update and edit the information, and they started selling that data to utilities and cities throughout California. But even with those strides in the digital landscape, they struggled to keep up, even marketing their maps on CDs at a certain point, also making an unsuccessful foray into the East Coast where established map makers had them beat. The company eventually moved to Irvine, but the end was nigh, as technology like in-car navigation and technologies like MapQuest became more popular. Finally, in 1998, Thomas Brothers Maps was sold to Rand McNally, who continued printing the guides both online and even rolled out a print edition of the Los Angeles and Orange County maps as recently as 2022. So thank you to Culver City Toyota for bringing us this episode on the Thomas Guide, a detailed and indispensable atlas for Los Angeles and beyond that may be a little outdated today, but it sure does bring back some nostalgia. And you know what? These maps really are detailed, accurate, and helpful. All right, LA, it's been a minute.